How did you accidentally ruin someone's day? We were choosing a mascot for a summer camp where I worked. It was the first day of camp, and we'd always let the campers vote on a mascot that we use for the rest of the summer as sort of a bonding thing. This year, the kids voted for wolves as the mascot. It was almost unanimous. But one kid, probably about 9 or 10, threw a fit because wolves are quote-unquote bad guys and predators and killers, and he doesn't want to be a wolf. He wants to be a hero. He refused to participate in any team activities because he didn't want to be on a team with the quote-unquote bad guys. At one point, we brought in a guy in a full mascot wolf costume for some anti-bullying program, and the kid had a massive tantrum. I almost felt like we were going to learn at some point that his brother was killed by wolves or some other tragic origin story. I did feel bad for the boy because it was fairly certain he had some kind of unaddressed emotional difficulties or something. But we weren't going to change the mascot name that almost everyone voted for. The really sad thing is, wolf populations have suffered a lot due to stereotypes that they're quote-unquote bad. I still remember in kindergarten when my friend and I were reading all the colors out loud on one of those Crayola super packs. I got straight up yelled at and sent to the principal's office for saying orange pizzazz because the teacher said I called someone a piss ass and would not listen despite having the literal crayon as evidence. After a 30-minute scolding and waiting for my mom to leave work to pick me up for my suspension, the teacher came in all apologetic. When I explained to her the whole situation, not the school's side, my mom went ape. I had heard her say shit once, and that's the only swear I ever heard from her, and we had just been rear-ended in traffic. She used a dozen curse words when she had her chance to speak to the principal and teacher. I got unsuspended on the spot, but she pulled me out of school for the day anyway. We had a lovely day, and she explained very well how I shouldn't swear like that unless absolutely necessary, and I've exhausted all civility. When being civil simply isn't working, sometimes you might have to call someone a piss ass. The next day at school, I learned that I now had the stigma of being the kid who got the Crayola super pack taken away. Using a walking stick. I was in a car accident a few years ago and it effed my leg up. Since then, I've been using a walking stick. I was walking to shop pre-pandemic, and an old bloke gave me the dirtiest look I've ever seen. What do you need a cane for? You're only a kid. He actually got quite upset seeing me using a stick. Like, my dude, I'm just trying to buy some milk, I don't need your BS today. I didn't say that out loud, I just said it to myself after I got home. People like that are the reason my partner doesn't like going out. He's had a few operations on his back and needs his stick as one of his legs has been left weaker than the other. He's had someone try and take his stick as he is walking. I nearly battered them. Maybe 22 years ago, I had a phone interview with a baking company. I didn't care to have my peers know what I was up to, so I took the call on my cell phone in my car. The call was crystal clear and no technical issues. At one point, they had mentioned the weather and asked how it was where I was. I told them that I was sitting in my car and I could see that it was actively snowing and whatnot. The interviewer asked me, "Are you taking this call on a cell phone?" I told him I was. Then he asked me if I thought that was appropriate. I asked him what he meant by that. He said he thought it was kind of rude to take a formal call on a cell phone. I told him I would be more than happy to conclude the interview if talking on a cell phone was an issue. If he was interested, I'd be happy to continue it the next day when I'd be at a desk. He again repeated how rude he thought it was that I had called from a cell phone and that there was no need to continue the interview process. I disagreed with the first point, but did agree with the second. To this day, I wonder what the hell he was talking about and where he was coming from. One time, someone got offended when I put on my seatbelt. She thought I was commenting on her ability to drive. Same thing happened to me. The Uber driver said, "Do you wear your seatbelt when you're with your dad?" I said, "Yes." While working tech support back during the dot-com boom, I had a customer get upset with me over the use of the word icon. He said it had religious implications, and he insisted I call Windows icons little picture things. Off topic, but this reminds me of my 4-year-old niece who calls commercials skip ads. I got in trouble in kindergarten for saying the word dead. Apparently it was too violent. When I was a child, my mom paid for something with a check. The cashier remarked that my mom had nice handwriting. My mom flew off the handle, and we had to storm out of the shop in outrage. To this day, I have no idea what happened. Had someone get offended by me calling my brother bro. They insisted that I was racist and that white people can't be related to Mexicans. Like seriously, lady, that's not how genetics work. We're 100% related and are a mix of white and Native American. It's not that unheard of for one biological sibling to come out lighter or darker than the other. And even if we weren't related, seriously? I'm racist for calling someone close to me my bro despite being different skin tones? Seriously? Thank you for coming to my rant session. Have a good day. At my wedding, we marked the vegetarian items as vegetarian. This made the one vegetarian at my wedding, my sister-in-law who hates me, fly into catatonic rage because we're singling out the vegetarian food as vegetarian and not treating it as normal food. Then how the F are they supposed to know it's vegetarian? A sandwich. I kid you not. My ex-husband was given a sandwich by our then 13-year-old daughter, and because she cut the sandwich, he went off on a massive strop about how his sandwiches should never be cut, etc. The poor kid's face, she was crushed. It still winds me up every time I think about it. I once listened to my boss try to lecture the fire marshal because he was talking about something being flame retardant. Her reasoning was, you should just call it fireproof because retardant was an awful word. It was one of those times when I really should have tried to stop her, but instead I just stood off to the side, probably making a surprised Pikachu face. I got an angry call from a client at the vet hospital I used to work at. She was angry that the doctor had written in her dog's chart something along the lines of, chemotherapy has retarded the growth of the tumor. She was deeply offended that the vet called her dog retarded. I'm a disabled person. My life sucks because of my disability, and no longer being able to do the things I used to love makes me quite depressed sometimes. Some a-hole tried to lecture me about how I was ableist for wishing there was a cure for my disability. F me for not enjoying being in constant pain and possibly ending up in a wheelchair in the future, I guess. The guy at a Halloween party I was at was dressed in a giant bacon costume. Some girl was yelling at him for being so offensive towards Jews and Muslims. She was neither Jewish nor Muslim. One of the Muslim guys at the party asked her what the F she was talking about, but she didn't back down. I have no idea why people feel the need to go out of their way to be, inaccurately, offended on behalf of other cultures and religions. I sang the song Hit the Road Jack to a kid I just beat in the game while in the 3rd grade, mockingly. He took that as me calling him a jackass. He told the recess monitor this. I was told to stand against the wall away from the rest of the kids with the recess monitor. I am now 27 and married with 2 kids, but I will never forget this. If you ever see this, I didn't call you a jackass, Jared, but now, F you forever. Professor Greg Patton at the University of Southern California was telling students in a communications lecture last month about filler or pause words, such as or you know, in English. Footage of his lecture, which now has gone viral, shows proof Patton saying, in China, the common pause word is that. So in China, it might be nega nega nega. Enunciated nega sounds like the N-word, which led several of the professor's students to complain to the university. Responding to the complaint, the dean of the university, Jeffrey Garrett, told students that Prof. Patton would no longer be teaching the course. It is simply unacceptable for the faculty to use words in class that can marginalize, hurt, and harm the psychological safety of our students, he said. The university says that Prof. Patton quote-unquote volunteered to step away from his role amid the investigation into complaints made against him. This is the stupidest thing to get offended over that I've seen in quite a while, and damaging to actual cases of racist terminology being used inappropriately. My parents are abusive and have called my sisters and I every name in the book. In a fight, my sister called my dad a fool when he was throwing a hissy fit. He flipped and couldn't fathom being called something more offensive, which was fool. He called me and told me what she said, and I laughed at him. Now my sister and I laugh all the time about how crazy our parents are.